Wah, 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 wah. At least we can focus on football now.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're going to watch a show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, always remember how much I appreciate your support, and never forget, this show is free. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers, join today, and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. Look, as much as I had hoped that the men's basketball team was finally finding their groove, after being healthy, practicing together, winning 5 of their last 6 games, including a win, over UCLA, a win over top 5 Arizona to finish the season, including a first-round win against the Washington Huskies, extending their winning streak to 4 games for the first time all year. There was some hope that USC could kind of recreate what they did at Galen Center 5-6 nights ago and beat the Wildcats to advance to the semifinals of the Pac-12 tournament. Instead, the Trojans finished their season with their lowest scoring output all year, and with that came their first losing record since 2019. Arizona whooped USC's butt, kicked their, you know what I want to say. They kicked their ass, 70-49. So what that means is Arizona's head coach, Tommy Lloyd, is still undefeated as the Wildcats head coach in the Pac-12 tournament play. He's 7-0 now. He has also never lost back-to-back games as their head coach. That's really impressive when you think about that. And just so you know what USC was up against, going up against Arizona in the Pac-12 tournament, Arizona now has improved to 6-1 in tournament play. That's against USC, by the way. 7th time they played. They're now 6-1 against USC. So USC came out in this game, and look, they matched the Wildcats' intensity. I'm not going to fault them for their effort, at least to start the game. It was a little sloppy on both ends. I think the refs were letting them play. It was pretty physical. In fact, USC was even setting the pace for the game. It was Arizona wasn't getting out and running it up and down the court yet. To kind of put that into context, when the first media break came, which is usually around the 15-minute mark, just thereafter, Arizona led 7-4. And then all of a sudden, the referee stopped letting USC play. They weren't allowing them to be quite as physical as Arizona, for whatever reason. And I'll make my point by saying USC had 5 fouls called against them 5 minutes into the game. Arizona, bagel, 0 goose egg. Look, Arizona plays good defense. They're not that good. In fact, later during the game, one of the Pac-12 announcers, Matt Mulbach, who played for Arizona, I literally threw up in my mouth a little bit when he said, the refs have been calling it even on both sides of the court. If Matt's version of even is Arizona's center, Omar Ballo, shooting 8 of their first 11 free throws, USC had 1 free throw at that moment. Yeah, that's pretty fair. Not. Anyways. Now, what if I had told you, leading into this, that USC held Arizona to 28 first half points? You'd probably think USC was leading at the half, right? Well, no, they weren't, because Arizona held USC to 16 first half points. And they the reason they had that 28-16 lead was they used a 12-2 run to close out the half. That's where Arizona beats their teams. They get these spurts where they'll go on 8-0 runs, 10-0 runs, 12-2 spurt runs, and you have to be able to match that. USC didn't come close to that in this game. So it was 28-16 at halftime, and things just got worse from that point forward. In fact, much worse in the second half. There was 12 and a half minutes left to play in the game. Arizona had their biggest lead. They had their lead over USC was 20 points. USC had 24 points as a team. So, yeah, it was 44-24. 12 and a half minutes to go in the game. So you could say, all right, well, they picked up their offense. USC didn't. Arizona actually locked in defensively even more. Somehow or another, the refs found their whistle in the second half. Arizona's best scorer, his name's Caleb Love. He bounced back from the last game, Arizona's last game they played, which was against USC at Galen Center. He had a really poor game. He only had 11 points on 4 of 13 shooting in this game. In the previous game, he had 2 points, 1 of 11 shooting. But let me give you a couple of examples of how things were going for him versus USC's top scorer, Boogie Ellis. There was a sequence during the game. Boogie he wasn't just sitting on his butt because he was lazy. He actually showed some effort. He ripped the rebound away from Ballo. And with his, the momentum, he fell and he landed on his butt. And instead of looking for one of his teammates to throw the ball to, he threw it up at the basket. In essence, he turned the ball over because it turned into a quick outlet pass that found a wide open Caleb Love for a three-pointer. That was his first three-pointer of the game. Okay. Those 3 points surpassed his last game's outing versus USC. But he had his second three-pointer of the game, his only other make, gave Arizona their 12-point halftime lead. I'm trying to recreate this in my head. That's why I'm slowing down here as I'm going. So here you have Caleb Love making a key three-pointer off of a Boogie Ellis mental gaffe. And then right at the end of the half, he's draining another 3. Those are big points. Those are momentum points. So where Caleb Love finished the game with 11 points, Boogie, he fouled out with 7.5 minutes to go in the game. And a second straight game in a row versus Arizona where he didn't show up offensively. He had 5 points last week. His last game as a Trojan, 6 points, 2 of 11 from the field. Bottom line is Arizona is just a bad matchup for USC. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're more physical. They're not afraid of contact. But you know what? No excuse. Like Andy Enfield said, he's been waiting for this team to get healthy, to practice together. Well, they have been for those last couple of weeks now. Here's the difference in this game. And it was really significant. Arizona literally outmatched USC in rebounds, 44-30. Second chance points, 19-4. I pointed out in the last game, USC for Arizona had 14 offensive rebounds. They only converted that into 2 second chance points. Well, they came back with a vengeance. They were pissed off. They didn't like the way they lost their last game. So this time around, 19-4 in second chance points versus USC. Off the bench, this is just really significant. Arizona outscored USC 32-3. 32-3. In other words, look, first of all, Andy doesn't go deep into his bench, but 3 points. That was I think that was combined between Vince Uwachukwu and Bronny James. And then you want to get into fast break points, transition points. Arizona outscored USC 16-2. That happened in the second half. USC, they were led by Kobe Johnson, 14 points, 8 rebounds. Nice game. But when Kobe Johnson is your leading scorer, you're in trouble. That's not his game. Isaiah Collier, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 turnovers. He's probably gone off to the NBA. He's going to be a lottery pick. But I'll tell you what, he has got to improve his game. Number 1, he can't go to his right. Number 2, he can't shoot from the outside. Maybe he surprises everybody and comes back to USC for another year. I doubt it. When you're a lottery pick, that's a lot of money to turn down. Bronny James, he needs to come back. We'll see what happens. He's going to have that talk with mom and dad, see what's best for him and his family. But Bronny, 3 points, 1 rebound. I'll tell you what, he looked really good on that rebound, though. This is what DJ Rodman said after the game. I'm not going to belabor this. I'm going to move on really quickly, but we did all we could, and sometimes in the grand scheme of things, it's not enough. That's what happened today. We just came up short. Well, yeah, you came up short. Coach Andy Enfield, he was asked, was it challenging? Yes, absolutely. It was very, very challenging. Disappointing? Absolutely not. Right. Well, and Coach is not going to throw his team under the bus. Last game of the year, there's not a lot more that he can say, and that's going to change what happened to this season. Injuries played a part. I've been out there. I've said it. I think there was just too much NIL on this team and not enough team on this team. We'll see what happens now. Got the women. They're going to get a number 1 seed in the tournament. So let's root them on. The men, they underachieved. There's no way to say it. This team was set up to go deep into the tournament. You had the point guard, number 1 player in the country coming out of high school. You had a rim protector. You had a prolific shooter from the outside in Boogie Ellis. You had a prolific defender in Kobe Johnson. You brought DJ Rodman down from Washington State to give you a 3rd scorer from the outside. Just didn't come together. So, it's time for football. Did you know that even if you have a 401k or retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match as well. This offer is good through April 30. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claims as of Q1 2024 are validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires a Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC. Member SIPC is a registered broker dealer. You know what I like about Fire TV? If you turn on your smart TV, it's already there. And if you don't have a smart TV, you can plug in that Fire Stick right into the back, and you're fired up, ready to go. Easy peasy. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournaments, you're going to want to have Fire TV. And did you know that Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels that's going to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free? That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more. And that's going to keep you up to date on all the latest in the world of sports. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa's devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels yet, you should. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All right, we're right back into football. There you had it. Basketball season is over as far as the men is concerned. I'll keep you updated with the women. This coming Monday is USC Pro Day. This coming Tuesday, day after, is the first day of spring camp. You know how I feel about this? Any day that ends in the letter Y should be a day to talk about football, right? Well, that's what we're here for. 5 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And look, as much as I wanted the basketball season to linger on for a little bit longer, I know everybody really wants to talk about the pigskin. You guys giving grief all the time. Mark, you spent 5 minutes talking about basketball. 5 minutes. You guys give me grief. Anyways, what are the chances that USC's secondary in 2024 has 5 new starters? Let me remind everybody what the winter conditioning depth chart looks like. At the strong safety position, Kamari Ramsey, Traquan Fagan, Zion Branch, Christian Pierce, Jarvis Boatwright, and Hunter Dunn. At the free safety, you've got Achille Arnold, Bryson Shaw, Anthony Beavers Jr., Marquise Gallegos, and Brandon Shepard. One cornerback spot, you've got DeCarlos Nicholson, Malachi Crawford, and Isaiah Rubin. Across the field, John Humphrey, Prophet Brown, Marcellus Williams, and Braylon Conley. And then the nickel, 2 guys, Jalen Smith and Jacoby Covington. Here's the question. If USC and LSU were kicking off their season tomorrow, they're not, still a few months away, the winter depth chart showed that USC's starting secondary is going to go with transfers to Carlos Nicholson and John Humphrey at the cornerback spots. And then Kamari Ramsey and Achille Arnold are your starting safeties. Jalen Smith or Jacoby Covington are going to be playing nickel. The thing that you should first notice there, the common denominator, playing experience. And again, whether that experience started at USC or elsewhere, they're at the head of the depth chart right now, coming out of winter conditioning. Behind those guys, really young, but really, really talented prospects, as well as Bryson Shaw. Here's the thing with Bryce. I think he wants to prove that it was Alex Grinch's scheme and not his ability to perform at a high level. I know everybody likes to jump on Bryson, but if we're being fair, he's only known Alex Grinch as his position coach, defensive coordinator. Alex Grinch was in charge of the safeties. I'm going to give Bryson one more year benefit of the doubt. I want to see what Antonlynn can do, also a safeties coach. I want to see what Doug Belk can do, also a safeties coach, who's going to coach the cornerbacks too. Taylor Mays, I believe, is still working with the secondary. I'm going to give Bryson another shot. Did he have a rough go of it his first 2 years? Absolutely. Name one USC defender that didn't. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not trying to defend anybody. I'm just trying to be fair and balanced, add some context. Look, as far as the young guys backing up the perceived winter conditioning leaders, for me, there was a lot of intrigue with Christian Pierce, playmaker. You saw him in the spring game last year. He had that interception where he kind of rised up, one-hander. Everyone was like, whoa, where'd that come from? And then you've got Malachi Crawford, who one of the biggest cornerback recruits in recent memories, 6'4". He didn't play last year. He redshirted with recovering from an injury. So we're going to see how things shake out. But here's the thing. when a new staff comes in, they like to go with their own guys. Whether or not, those guys are at the head of the leaderboard is because the new coaching staff likes those guys. I don't know. I think they're putting them up there again because they're veterans, they have experience, and they want those guys showing the younger guys, finger quotes, the right way to do things. So, save for the true freshmen. I really do anticipate the veterans getting most of the run. Now, I know the rosters haven't been released yet, and I've been teasing about it, but I'm going to, and again, big whoop-de-doo. It's not that big of a deal, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw you guys a little bit of a tidbit heading into the weekend. Even though the rosters haven't been released yet, I can tell you who the new players are wearing the number 0 jersey. Again, it's not a traditional number, but it has become somewhat of one of those who's wearing the number 0 jersey type of thing. Remember, it was just a few years ago where the NCAA made that number available. So last year, Corey Foreman wore it. You had Terrell Bynum, wide receiver, the year before that. Well, you got 2 guys who are going to be wearing it this year. How about running back Quentin Joyner? Yeah. And then you got transfer, safety, Achille Arnold. There it is, your 2 zeros. How important is it? It's not. Is that going to become one of those jersey numbers that everybody has to have? They bid on it? I don't know. We'll see. Still, at USC, if you win the Heisman, your number gets retired. You have to get permission from that player to wear that jersey again. It's happened a couple times in the past. Darnell Bing got Mike Garrett's permission. Carson Palmer gave his blessing to Caleb Williams. Nobody's asked Reggie Bush yet. And we're going to, yeah. Anyways, and nobody's going to be, as far as I know, has been awarded the number 55 jersey yet. That's the special jersey at USC, as well as the number 1 jersey. Usually goes to the top wide receiver. We'll see what happens. We'll see who's wearing what. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out. This week, it will not be USC. A team that's pushed it further than the rest, just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level. The Utah State Aggies are obviously this week's Nissan Rogue. They punched their ticket when their team absolutely surprised all of us with a powerful performance against New Mexico, giving them their first outright Mountain West title in program history. They say, win life, go Rogue. And that's exactly what the Aggies have done here. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada, and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. All right. Before I get into the college football playoffs going by 2 more teams before they even played a 12-game playoff system, I'm going to start my Friday rant off by saying I agree with Nick Saban. Yep. I agree with Nick Saban in general. He is 100% correct when he says this. All the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. He is absolutely correct. Somehow or another, and Nick Saban and I both agree that student athletes should have the ability to earn money. However, once NIL became the game, it has been perverted into it's been perverted into a pay for play type of scheme. Essentially, what everybody accused the SEC of doing for years under the table. Now, like I said, has Alabama and the SEC in general been playing by the rules above the table? No. NIL balanced that out. Unfortunately, some people's interpretation of NIL, name, image, and likeness, was let's start a collective, let's get as much money as we can, and let's start enticing high school players to come to our university by giving them basically a signing bonus or saying, sign here and you will make this much money by the time you leave XYZ University. So Nick Saban can be right about both things. He can love college athletics and developing players and agreeing that players should be paid, earning some revenue. Earlier this week, Nick Saban was up on Capitol Hill, and he was playing the point man, trying to get college football, at least for me, he was trying to rodeo things up, trying to get the horses back in the corral. This is what he said. Well, all the things that I believed in all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. So it's always been about developing players. It's always about helping people when you're successful in life. My wife even said to me, we have all the recruits over on Sunday with their parents for breakfast. And she would always meet with the mothers and talk about how she was going to help and impact their sons and how they would be well taken care of. And she came to me like right before our retirement and said, why are we doing this? And I said, Nick Saban is talking now. What do you mean? She said, his wife, all they care about is how much you're going to pay them. Close quote. Again, that is not what NIL was supposed to be. It's not supposed to be high school kids asking one of the greatest college football coaches to ever coach the game how much they can be given up front before playing at Alabama. That's why Nick Saban retired. Not because he's 72 and can't keep up with these guys. Let me put that into context for you. Lane Kiffin isn't 72 years old, but he was mentored by Lane Kiffin. He kicked one of his star running backs to the curb ahead of their bowl game last year. The running back literally wanted to know how much they were going to pay him to play in a bowl game. That running back is now at Ohio State. Coincidentally, the Buckeyes running back coach just transferred to that school up north in the same capacity. I'm getting into the Big Ten thing. Ohio State refers to Michigan as the school up north. But I think his name's Tony Alford. He mentioned something about, and maybe it's rumor, but the reason he left Ohio State to go to Michigan in the same capacity, and he got a little bit of a raise, a bump in pay, not a lot, but he said there was a culture of me first guys. That's what I'm kind of referring to about the basketball team at USC. NIL, me first. I got mine. Anyways, it's whoever wants to pay the most money raised, the most money to buy the most players is going to have the best opportunity to win. That's what Nick Saban said on Tuesday on Capitol Hill. That's he's trying to explain what the collectives are doing now. Now, he's right to a point. However, Texas A&M tried this approach. Jimbo Fisher got fired. So I'm not sure there's a correlation that if you buy and you can get the best players to come, you're going to win. You're going to have a better chance, but you still need to have a coaching staff that knows how to develop those really expensive Jimmies and Joes. Now, I feel really strongly that once you give a teenager that kind of money, the motivation to be developed lessens. I'm trying to tell you, if I'm 18 years old and I got $1 million in the bank, it's going to be hard to keep me motivated. I'm not saying everybody, but there a very good percentage of these players are going to have that attitude because the first thing on their mind is pay me first and then I'll work. So that's what I think Nick Saban was trying to convey. He's not against name, image, and likeness. He's not against players getting paid. Neither am I. But we got to get some guardrails set up. Otherwise, you're just going to lose control of the game. And you're going to, when that happens, when the tail's wagging the dog, you're going to lose fan interest. And that's the last thing you want. If you want to be like the NFL, get there quickly so everybody can adjust. Speaking of adjusting, newsflash, the 12-team playoff system format that hasn't even started yet, it's going to move to a 14-team college playoff system, and that'll start up in 2026. I literally have not even tasted that 12-course meal yet. And now they're saying 14 teams is happening. If you want to talk about hypocrites, let's talk about all those guys in charge of the universities, the presidents, and the athletic directors who said, nope, playoffs never going to happen, not at this level. Looking out for the safety and the better interest of the student athletes. Well, that changed. They went to, all right, well, we'll do 14 playoffs. Oh, no, we'll do 12 teams. No. We're going to go to 14 teams. It's all about money. And you know what? The ACC, Notre Dame, the Big 12, they're all for this because I think they understand that the Big 10 and the SEC are going to dominate any at-large berths. So this, their thinking is, you know what? Let's just create 2 more opportunities for the lesser FBS conferences, for the disadvantaged. Now, reported discussions also include automatic buys for the Big Ten and the SEC following the expansion. We'll see what happens once the details are released. Again, what this comes down to really is revenue splits between the conferences. So, as I said, let's get these super conferences finished up, blow up the NCAA, hire a commissioner, and let's just try and make college football something that everyone is going to want to watch. Because right now, the way it's moving, I'm starting to sense it's turning people off. You don't want to do that. College football is one of the greatest things ever invented, right after sliced bread. All right. That's my rant. That's the end of the show. That's another week of Locked On USC, part of the Locked On Network. Your team every day. You like what you're getting here, and I think you do. I hope you do. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, why not? Become a subscriber. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. When you see this, it's called a thumbs up. You're the Hulk. Smash. Make it go down. And do not forget to hit that bell notification button. And that way you're not going to miss an episode. And starting next week, spring camp reports are coming. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.